Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Michelle. This is Breast Friends Cancer Support Network, and it is with very bittersweet emotions that this is my last episode of Breast Friends Cancer Support Network, as I am departing Breast Friends next week after 5+ amazing years to give some time for myself, kind of out of the cancer world a little bit, and to work on some passion projects that I've been trying to do for a really long time. But before we start, I want to give a huge shout out to the amazing producers and engineers at Voice America who have literally been with us from day one. My executive producer, Robert and Aaron and Andrew and Matthew and Rachel and all of the people at Voice America have been amazing. And because they are such great individuals, even though there are no new episodes of this podcast, Voice America is still going to host all of our past episodes. So they'll be available on the Voice America website and on the Health and Wellness channel, but also they'll still be out there on all of the major podcast platforms. So thank you, Voice America, for believing in what we do so passionately and just being there by our side from day one. And for me, my journey with breast cancer will never be over, especially with the amazing support and community which Breast Friends has provided to me. But it's really given me the opportunity to grow so much and to sprout my wings in other areas. And I'm going to take my podcast skills on the road. And I'm going to be starting, or I have started my own podcast called We Rise by Lifting Each Other. My goal is to highlight good people and the good work that they do because I think we need so much more good in the world. And there's so many fun things that I really want to highlight and talk about. And I hope you can all join me on that journey. You can find it on Apple, Google, Spotify, and my website, We Rise by Lifting Each Other. My other main priority is finishing a book, which I've been writing literally for years since my first cancer diagnosis in 2012. And it's going to be called I Never Liked Pink and Other Things I Have Learned from Cancer. So look out for it this summer. So, okay, that is enough about me. Today, I am so honored and thrilled to welcome my boss, the executive director of Breast Friends. And I just felt it was so apt to welcome her here today as we wind down this podcast, which co-founders of Breast Friends, Becky Olson and Sharon Hennepin, started back on February 5th, 2016, for a total of 368 episodes meant to inspire and educate those dealing with a cancer diagnosis and the people around who love them and want more information. So thank you all for being here today to join Allison and I as we talk about this and what amazing programs and works Breast Friends has going on. Because even though I will not be on the payroll anymore, I will still be there in spirit. And at the end of my new podcast, there's an ad for Breast Friends. So they're never going away from my heart. So, Allison, welcome. Thank you for being here today and part of this special episode and kind of a podcast recap and what holds for the future of Breast Friends. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. It's surreal to me as I'm sitting here, thinking back on those starting the podcast in 2016. I remember clearly that day, and it was such a gift that Becky and Sharon gave. And so I thank you for continuing it and for bringing these amazing presenters and people who shared their story with the world. So thank you for picking that up when Becky passed away.
Well, it has been my absolute pleasure and honor. If anyone has listened to my first episodes in March of 2021, I was a hot mess and I was nervous and I was shaky. And now it's like, oh, it's just like it's not old hat, but it's like a comfortable chair where I can just go settle in and I've made friendships and connections and I've met 100 new people that I didn't know before because of this and I'm so thankful for that. But we'll talk a little bit more about the podcast, but I want to kind of open up with Breast Friends for those who might not know enough about what we do. Can you share our mission?
Yes, Breast Friends' mission is to ensure that no woman goes through a diagnosis of cancer alone. You know, Becky and Sharon started Breast Friends in 2000 to be able to provide that support for women who are navigating their cancer journey. And through those years, we've been able to support thousands of women as they have heard those words, "You you have cancer," and it's just an amazing organization where we provide so many great resources and education opportunities for women to connect and to learn and grow with each other.
Now I know because I've been there for a while that we have kind of like three main components or pillars, and that's kind of our on one of our taglines. What are they and how do they work?
Yes, the three pillars are education, community, and support. And with the education piece, we provide opportunities for women to come together through workshops, through different presenters who will come around and share their knowledge with these women. Amy, our program coordinator, will schedule some very high level presenters who will come in and share anything on nutrition. It could be on self image. It can be on mindfulness, yoga, the latest treatments on triple negative cancer. And
Mhm.
so that's the education piece. The community piece is the community coming together, the breast cancer community, the women coming together to get that support. Because research has been shown that if women surround themselves with people who have gone through a similar diagnosis, they get that support. They are able to get past that initial fear. And then the support piece, we're able to support them through we have support groups that meet monthly. We have a newly diagnosed group for women who are just starting out on their cancer journey. And we have a metastatic breast cancer support group. So a lot of the support, comes from each other. It's a safe place where women can come and be encouraged and supported.
And really going back to each one of those things, it's funny because you don't know until you go through a cancer journey, especially breast cancer, which is so very personal to women because it quite often attacks, and literally we have to have parts of our bodies removed that identify so much as women. And if you are able to go in and listen to someone and they talk about their experience and you're like, wow, I'm not alone, like they understand and they've walked the path before me, and so they can hold me up. And I think that's one of the reasons why it has been so effective for the past 23 years, and the thousands of women that have been helped by Breast Friends is because Becky and Sharon created this amazing place where they could come together and be safe. And there are other organizations out there that will pay your rent and do financial support in large amounts or different things. But I think what Breast Friends, they've found such a unique niche in providing the emotional support, which lends to the community and the education that has been
Mhm.
critical. I mean,
Right.
and like you mentioned, some of the workshops that Amy has put on over time. I mean, there's amazing ones even coming up, and I'm coming back to these workshops even after my tenure is done at Breast Friends. We have one coming up in March, a local company called Renewal Care Wellness, and they have hyperbaric machines and life vessels and really things to promote health and wellness. And we also have a fun class coming up where it's literally taught by a dance instructor, and she's going to be working us through how to love our bodies again through movement. And like those I'm definitely coming back for, because even I'm 6 years out from my second diagnosis, I am still healing through my cancer journey. And but the educational piece also is so important, and that's one of the things that I've loved doing here on this podcast as well. you know Inspiring, but it's a lot of education, and but also in terms of what the topics we've shared, how to move through wellness and mindfulness and so many things. But you've been with Breast Friends for 8 years now, is that correct? 2015?
Um, Oh, I started in 2013.
Oh, 13. Okay, so 10
And
this
yeah,
year, 10-year anniversary.
yeah, it'll be 10 years. My very first event that I did with Breast Friends was our survivor luncheon. And that
Mhm.
just blew me away, just being able to be in a room with 200 women who had all gone through breast cancer and who are surviving and thriving. And I came upon Breast Friends in 2013 and never left. And so it's just been a joy to be able to go through the different stages of Breast Friends and the different volunteer opportunities, event coordinator, and now the executive director, which is a big task and a big shoes to fill. But it brings me joy every day to be able to provide this amazing support that we do.
Well, it's funny because my first event was the luncheon as well. I came in to volunteer and I met you and it was late September. And in October was the luncheon, and I was just blown away. And it's
Mhm.
really hard to take that step into something you don't know what it is. So I was literally walked into the office and I met you and I met Yvonne and Sharon and Ginger and Joe and so many amazing women who they understood. And I did have, I have a wonderful family and friend support group, but it's not the same. And just it was so I felt enveloped in hugs. And I think that's one of the hardest parts about going through the pandemic was not being in person because we really thrived on being together and hugging. But I know because I lived through it with you that, Breast Friends is still thriving 23 years later and through a pandemic where we had to massively change how our support worked. Um, do you how did that feel for you having to go through and be like, "Oh my gosh, this crazy change and what do we do?" And that we're still going strong now?
Right. The biggest thing for me is, how are we going to support these women who are being diagnosed, who are going through their treatment? Because all of the things that we did prior to the pandemic was in person. We had all of our support groups, all of our workshops, and when everything shut down, we really had to scramble around, and we created our Zoom programs, and we had multiple Zoom meetings a week. I think we
It was a
eventually
lot.
got zoomed out, but we did not want those women to go through their cancer alone. COVID was happening, cancer was still happening, cancer
Mhm.
didn't stop, and so we really had to pivot and talk through as a staff on how are we going to support these women who are going through their cancer. And with Yvonne, who was our director of programs and patient support at the time, she worked so hard to be able to support these women. And one really, neat thing that came out of this is we have been able to have a virtual conference every year that we can open it up to anyone, not just in Oregon, but people can come from Texas, from Colorado to be able to learn and share and connect with other women. And so we're continuing that today, and we continue to have our virtual support groups and those hybrid models, which is huge to the work that we do.
Well, and what Allison mentioned earlier, the newly diagnosed or active treatment support group, the metastatic support group, those are virtual every month. The newly diagnosed meeting is twice a month. So it doesn't matter where you are physically, you can still join in on those meetings because it is so important. And also one of our regular programs, Creative Connections, Amy, our programs coordinator, she's very big on art, and it's not classified as art therapy, but just art working towards your healing. And she does this meeting both in person and virtual. So if that's something you're interested in, please go to our website or our social media pages for more information on that. But just so many opportunities, even if you're not here directly in the Portland area. Now, Allison, I know, like when I came in, I wanted to volunteer. I had finished my active treatment and I needed to do something. My son was in school, and as we all know, cancer changes us so completely, and it kind of makes your brain focus differently and what is important and what you want to do. And I could have gone to get a job, but
Mhm.
I decided I wanted to volunteer. And being through breast cancer twice, and family history, I walked in the door. I'm like, I'm going to volunteer. But I didn't realize how much I still needed to heal. And I found that through Breast Friends, just because of you and Sharon and Yvonne and the women that I met. They all got it. Now, I know you were a little bit farther out from your journey, but did you kind of have the same experience of walking in and saying, "Oh, there's support that I didn't know that I needed?"
I did. When I came to Breast Friends, I was 8 years out of my treatment. I was diagnosed in Connecticut, and I didn't have that support system. I had friends and family, but I didn't have that support from another woman going through it. And so when I found Breast Friends, I did find that there were some things that I still needed to process. You know, that fear of recurrence is
Mhm.
huge. Even though I was 8 years out, I still had that fear every time I had my mammogram. It was, you know, that fear, are they going to find something? So with the thriving retreats, I was able to help Sharon on those, and I think I attended like 10 of those with her. I was there to help her cook. But as we were going through that Thriving Beyond Cancer retreat, you know, she really talked about and led us through about those fears and how to process that. And so, you know, even 8 years out of my diagnosis, I was still, you know, dealing with things that, you know, needed to work on.
And
And
that's
so, you know, that's the great thing about Breast Friends is that we don't stop supporting women after their treatment is done. You know, we can support women, you know, 2, 3, 5, 10 years out of treatment. And so if there's anyone out there that needs to have that support, you know, please reach out to Breast Friends.
Yeah, it's so important, and we do. We have women who come and, like, they moved to town and they went through treatment a while ago, and they see our sign and they're like, "Oh, let's go check it out." Because as especially after going through breast cancer, it changes you forever so fundamentally, and finding people who understand is critical to being able to move forward. And for me, I've made lifelong friendships, and I've got new mentors, and I know people that I can always come back to. And, like, I mean, I'm so thankful the office is a mile from my house because I'm still gonna be stopping by and seeing
Well,
you
you
and
better, well, you
and
better.
seeing you and my friends. But as executive director, you have a really hard job because you are the one that it ultimately falls on to keep the doors open, to keep the money coming in. You're busy grant writing right now because we are a nonprofit. Definitely not in this for the money, but we want to be there to support women. But what has been the greatest blessing for you in the last 10 years that you have seen?
The greatest blessing is being able to walk beside these women, to hug them, to encourage them, and see them come through their journey with cancer, and then giving back. You know, that's the big thing for women who have participated in our programs and they've seen that support. Now they're wanting to give back, to make a difference, and that brings me joy to see that it comes full circle and able to have a woman experience our programs and see how important that was, and then she wants to give that to others.
And we just had a new volunteer who started recently. She went through active treatment. She was diagnosed, I believe it was last summer, less than a year ago. Went through treatment. She was on our newly diagnosed groups. And recently we put out an ad saying, "Hey, would anyone like to come in and help with some office stuff?" And she came yesterday and explained why she wanted to be there. And it literally brought tears to my eyes because,
Mhm.
she's like, "I have time and I want to give back." And this organization has been so important to her in terms of her healing journey that, I mean, that's what we're all about.
Right,
And you and myself and everyone who is at Breast Friends as employees started as volunteers. And I think that says something about the strength and the importance of the organization, that when people walk in the door, they're like, "Oh, this is what I want to do." And
right.
that definitely reflects back on you and the organization that you have continued to helm. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we do need to take a short break. And remember, if Breast Friends or this podcast has ever made, you laugh or taught you something, please give a donation, because as we are a nonprofit, we live on the donations and support from our community. So you can do that by texting BF Radio to 41444 or on our website, breastfriends.org. There's a big donate button. Every dollar helps to ensure that women do not go through cancer alone. So stay with us. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle, and my guest is Allison Hancock, Executive Director of Breast Friends. And we together are wrapping up this podcast series, 7 years, 368 episodes. And I know I have loved every minute of it when I was not a nervous wreck in the beginning. But Allison, you've been on here as well, at least 5 times. Why do you think that Sharon and Becky started it and it's been such an effective way to share information?
We started the podcast to be able to educate not only, women and family and friends and the community locally, but they also wanted to have a global reach. And so by starting the podcast, they were able to reach out to to presenters, to guests all over the world. Not only here in the U.S., but they've had guests on the show who are from Ireland, from England, from Australia. And so it's a wide reach. Cancer affects everyone. And so I believe that the effectiveness of our programs is being able to provide that education piece that people are looking for, and they can trust that what they're hearing is true. And there's so many podcasts out there, and people want to learn, listen, and to be a better caregiver, as well as how to take care of themselves. And so I think, with Becky and Sharon being able to start this podcast, and then you've been able to continue it on for the last year and a half, it's just opened up doors for opportunities for connecting.
Yeah, I do think the education piece is so important. And I've talked about, lymphedema. I've talked about alcohol and breast cancer. We've talked about life after breast cancer, how to move forward. There's a whole series on that in the summer of 2021. But I will honestly admit, my favorite part of the podcast is the connections I've made with so many amazing people who have gone through breast cancer and started wonderful organizations, or not just cancer. And I'm literally going to give a list of a few that literally came to my mind this morning, because the connections and what they do are so important. You mentioned earlier taming the fear of recurrence. And that was one thing that really pulled me into breast cancer, or to Breast Friends first, was Dr. Shawnee Fox. And she spoke at the first luncheon that I went to about taming the fear and what would you do for your life afterwards, after cancer. And I was like, wow, I want to write a book. I want to be on stage. And I didn't even dream about a podcast then, but literally coming to the luncheon and listening to her was life-changing for me. So that was one of the first ones. She has multiple episodes on the podcast. So Dr. Shawnee Fox, Dana Donofree, who created Ana Ono for lingerie for survivors, Allison Schickel, who's created Brobes for the garment after you go through breast surgery that you can wear outside, and it's cute and it's got drain pockets. April Stearns, who is the editor of Wildfire magazine. Literally every 2 months they have a new issue out that highlights women who've gone through this journey, and they have different topics. And I was actually able to submit an article for the Changemakers episode about a year and a half ago, or not episode, um uh
Article.
article. Well, yes. And that
Oh,
one particular magazine in December and January of 2021. I don't literally dates and times make nothing to me anymore. Luba Sasowski, who I flippin' adore. She has a company called Bright, BRYGHT, and she had this company previously, but now she's created a line of products for survivors called Courage and Strength that are really, they're vegan, they are skin friendly, no bad things in them. And they're specifically for survivors and people who've gone through, but also for anyone else who wants to use them. Literally, my list just keeps going. Numerous authors, Katrin Van Van Dam, who wrote a book called Flat and Happy, talking about the choice to stay flat and not do any kind of reconstruction. Paula Seafair, who's created an app called the My Care Crew, which literally allows people to download an app, invite their friends and family, and they can put on what they need. They can journal, like kind of the caring bridge, but also, oh, I need this. I need this. Would you like, can we do this? Let's do that. And it's a one place to do it all. The founder of Balm Box, Liz Bendit, which has curated cancer gifts. I mean, I could sit here all day and read off the guests, but that has been my favorite part because number one, I get to create relationships with fabulous people and see some really badass women and what they do and share that because I think it's so important what we go through, we get to share. So that is why I love the podcast so much. Do you have a favorite episode or something that comes to mind that, you've been here for the entire run, that's something that really sticks out that you would recommend to someone?
Yeah, I love Kathy Lehman.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Kathy. Yes.
She
Mhm.
talks about nutrition, and she's the hormone breast cancer dietitian
Yes.
for hormone positive breast cancers. And she was probably on the podcast maybe 8 or
Yeah.
nine
I
times.
know
She's
I had her
been
on at least 3 times. She did the episode with me for alcohol and breast
uh,
cancer. But we've talked about so many things and yeah, she's amazing. So definitely check out Kathy Lehman as well.
yeah, Kathy Lehman was one, and then she really talked about nutrition after cancer, the
Yes.
emotional roller coaster that you go through. What to eat, what not to eat, and as a result of her being on our podcast, she was a guest presenter at our health and wellness conference one year, and just provided great information. So check her out on Instagram, and she has a whole series of great topics. And another one that comes to mind is Becky and her husband Bill.
Mhm.
Becky wrote a book, The Hat That Saved My Life, and she and Bill actually read that book on several different episodes of the podcast. So go back and listen to Becky and her story on how that hat came to be, and it's, really an emotional one for me because she is no longer here. She was my
Yeah.
mentor. She, was the co-founder of Breast Friends, and just being able to hear her voice, you know, comforts me when I can't pick up the phone and call her. And
Yeah.
so that one was really special for me.
Yeah, listeners, if you're looking for those, I believe they're called Story Time, and I think it was in 2019 or 20, and I think there are 6 episodes. So please go check them out and also get the book because the book is still it resonates so much with a journey and how something little can make all the difference in the world. And that's was the hat for Becky and then her, they talked about the foundation of breast friends and so many things. So definitely check that out. But okay, so I literally could sit and talk about the podcast for hours, but I love it so much. So I want to dig into we have exciting events coming up this year that are every year and Breast Friends is a 501c3, which means it's a nonprofit. We're not in for the money. The majority of our programs are free and Breast Friends survives on the generosity of the community, corporate sponsorships, and donations. Again, donate on our website or text BF Radio to 41444. We now can also use PayPal and Venmo. So literally, you don't even have to get off your phone. You just click some buttons and send over the money. Um, but one of the big things that you really do is corporate sponsorships because we need them and that's the big money. What do you look for? And if someone is a corporation who wants to sponsor, what does that give them generally?
Yes, for the corporate sponsorships, we have several different opportunities for corporate sponsors for our golf tournament, for our Sunday Fun Day summer event, for our luncheon, and new this year is our 5K. And so those corporate sponsorships, what we're looking for is businesses who believe in breast friends, who believe in breast cancer and emotional support, and wanting to partner with an organization that is making a difference. And from that sponsorship, they get exposure to social media. They get their name on a banner. They depending on where they're located, they could get golf registrations. They can attend our luncheon. They can have a vendor booth. So there's lots of opportunities for sponsorships. And so if you want to reach out and are looking at partnering with a great organization, you can go onto our website, breastfriends.org, and click on the various events that are coming up.
And one of our local sponsorships here, which they always pitch in for everything, is Compass Oncology. And I'm especially, they're dear to my heart because they've been my oncologist for 10 years. And it's funny, once you have an oncologist, it kind of seems like you have them forever. But they have been wonderful. And, we would love obviously to partner with other oncology groups, because this is who this podcast is for, is patients who have gone through cancer, and whether it's breast cancer or other types of cancer, it's the trauma is similar for many types of cancer going through it. And hopefully listeners can come back and get that education. But going forward, it's obviously not sponsoring the podcast, but so many amazing programs and events that we have going on. And one thing which Allison has mentioned is the next thing we're doing is a virtual wellness conference that's coming up on April 15th. And the registration opened today. I know, because I literally opened up my email this morning. I was like, why do I have so many work emails at like 7 in the morning? And it's because the registration, I think, went out at midnight, and there was already like 4 women who signed up before 6 AM. And I was like, well, that shows 2 things. They're excited, but they also need to sleep more. So Allison, tell us about, we mentioned the conference, this idea, the virtual conference started during COVID, but what is it about, and what are we hoping for? And then we'll talk about our guests for this year.
Right. The Friends Warrior Wellness Conference is what we call it, is an education piece where we provide that education opportunity. We provide it's a half day conference that women can hop on Zoom, and we do require registration, but it's an opportunity for women to hear from some amazing presenters, and also to connect with other women who are going through their cancer journey. We have breakout rooms where women can come and support and get to know each other. And through the wellness conference, it's designed to educate and inspire the community. And we have 3 presenters this year. We have one, Dr. Erin Kirschbaum with Manuel. She's going to be talking about prioritizing your pelvic health. That's really important for women as they're going through their cancer journey, and you lose a lot of those feelings down there, and just to be able to learn more about pelvic health. We have
And
Adelisa
Elisa. Mhm.
Adelisa Martin, who is with 2M Research, and she's going to share about accessing clinical trials. There's a lot of clinical trials out there for maybe later stage cancers. And so she's going to educate us on how to find those clinical trials. And then we have Katrine Fink, who is going to talk about self-care for your mind, body, and spirit. And she is local here to Portland, and she's a survivor, and has developed a series, and she's a cancer coach, life coach as well. So she's going to be sharing her knowledge on self-care, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your body, how to have that self-care. Self-care is not selfish; it's caring for yourself so you can be a better caregiver and supporter for your family. And it's all free. There is no charge. And we'd like to thank Compass Oncology for sponsoring us this year for the conference.
Well, and it's
And it
funny, as I'm looking back on this, when we find presenters and speakers that we like, we typically try to get them through all of our programs, because different people tune in for different things. So, Dr. Erin Kirschbaum was my podcast guest on January 11th of this year, talking about pelvic health and what is normal and what is not. So definitely you can check that out in advance, but definitely join in the conference because she has so much wonderful information. She was also an educational presenter at our luncheon this year. And I was outside the door when women were coming out of that and they're like, and all I heard was, I didn't know that. That was amazing. And they, so many things that they really didn't know that they're like, oh, well, now I know. And just and she it's funny, I've seen her all over town randomly now after she was on the podcast, and I just keep running into her like Costco. It's like, hi, Dr. Aaron. I love finding my practitioners out in the world.
Right, right,
And
right.
at Elisa, her company 2M purchased another company called Clara Health. They were on the podcast in January of 2022 talking about clinical trials as well. And then I've also had Katrine on as my guest as well. So I really feel like it's the trifecta. We've kind of pulled just these amazing rock stars to talk about things that are important. And the virtual conference is, as Alice had mentioned, it is free, and it's a way for breast friends to be able to educate women no matter where they're at. So anybody can join. You just go to the our events page on breastfriends.org and you can see the conference. And after we get back from a break, we're going to talk about some other really cool things that are going on this year for the patients, but also to fundraise and to have a great time at. So we are going to take a quick break, but stay with us and we'll be back soon. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle, and I'm joined by my executive director of Breast Friends, Allison Hancock. And before break, we were talking about the wellness conference, which is coming up. And we've also mentioned we have 3 other big events coming up throughout the year. A couple are for fundraising, and the luncheon is always the highlight and kind of the cap of our year. So, Allison, can you dig into each of those a little bit more, please?
Yeah, yes, I did want to circle back around about the conference.
Oh, yes.
New this year, we are having Spanish translation
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
Spanish interpreters that will be able to be on the Zoom. So anyone who speaks Spanish can join us. We will have that opportunity uh, to um, to participate in the conference, but also hearing it in the Spanish language. And we also have closed caption for Spanish. So that's cool. And we are really looking forward to that because we want to provide opportunities for for all people, especially in the luncheon, as we talked about, we had Spanish translators for our luncheon this year or this last year. And we were able to support 28 women who came from all over the Portland metro area to come and learn about the pelvic health, about tapping, and really they were able to be part of our program. And so being able to have that Spanish translations with headsets was a big deal. And so we're looking forward to having that again this year at the luncheon, which Michelle, has been a part of the luncheon since she came to Breast Friends,
Hmm.
and it's a wonderful day of celebration, bringing the community together. We have educational classes in the morning, followed by vendors that feature, the latest, health products from pharmaceutical companies to providers. And then we have a beautiful fashion show that models or survivors are going through treatment right now, and they get to walk the runway with these beautiful clothing items that they've selected. And it's a day of also to recognize our community sponsors, our community supporters, and it will be October 28th this year.
Yes. And then we also have the golf tournament July 19th,
Yes,
17th.
yes, our golf tournament July 17th,
Okay.
which sells out every year, and then we have a Sunday Fun Day event in Wine Country. Being Oregon, there's lots of wineries to go visit. And so we have been able to secure this beautiful location, Abbey Road Farm in Carlton, where it's a day of enjoying the wine country. We have food trucks, we have wonderful auction items to come out. It's from 3 to 7 on August 20th. So come on out for that. And then new this year for us is our own 5K. We have a lot of runners within our community, and Alyssa, who's our community engagement coordinator, is coordinating this run, and it's going to be on September 24th. And it's a 5K run walk at Stickman Brewing
Yes.
um,
Support the
business.
girls is our logo. So if you see support the girls anywhere around town, you can do that. And Breast Friends is also selling we have merchandise, and we have support the girl shirts that just went up on Bonfire recently. So if you're interested in any Breast Friends merchandise, or the for Breast Friends in general, or the support the girls, please go to our social media. There's on Instagram, there's always ads on that, so you can check it out and be a part of the support. If you want something back for your donation, that's the great way to do it.
Right, and then to support the girls, it can be a virtual run as well. You don't have to live in the Portland metro area. If you live in Texas, Colorado, join in and support the girls wherever you are. We would love to have you participate. And that is all of those programmings. And then we have a new program that we're launching. Do you want me to share about that, Michelle?
Please.
Yes, our newest program that we're partnering with an organization called Know Your Lemons.
Mhm.
It's a global organization, and it's breast health, breast education, to talk about how important it is for early detection and self exams. They created this great material that's fun and vibrant, and talks about how important it is to have those self exams. There's a app that you can download called Know Your Lemons app. It's a free app, and it will help you to schedule your monthly exams or your monthly self checks.
Mhm.
And then we go through, all of the staff have been trained as lemonistas. We're trained in educating the community. And as myself going through breast cancer, it is important to do those self checks because you can feel something, and that is an indication that it could be something. And so you really want to go to your doctor and your provider to get that checked out.
And if you've ever seen on social media, it's an egg carton with 12 lemons in it, that's Know Your Lemons, because they've developed their signs to look for, and it's everything from a rash to a bump to dimpling of the skin and various things. And I went through the training as well, so I'm a certified lemonista. But it's so important, even if for everyone, every men and women, because men do get breast cancer as well. Women are 1 in 8, men are 1 in 800, but it still happens. And unfortunately, they're usually diagnosed later because they don't do checks and they don't think about it. But even young women as early as teens should start doing these self checks, and the Know Your Lemons app is so important. If you have a business or school in the Portland area, please contact us, because Alyssa Beyer, our community engagement coordinator, she can come to your place of business, your school, to do a Know Your Lemons educational session. And it's family friendly. It's not it's they use lemons in the demonstration. So it's not like we're showing off naked breasts or anything like that, but it's for everyone because it is so important. So definitely check that out. Download the Know Your Lemons app and start your self checks. And it's great because you'll get the little reminder on your phone. I got mine the other day. And even though I've had a bilateral mastectomy with still reconstruction, things can still happen. So I still do my checks. But it's so important to know your body. And that's one of the tenets of the Know Your Lemons. It will teach you to know what is in your body. So when something new happens, you're like, okay, that's not right, and go get it checked out. One other thing which I'm so excited about for Breast Friends and the community is coming in May. So Allison had earlier mentioned the Thrive retreats that Sharon Hennepin led, and that she went on and was the sous chef presenter with Sharon. And so during COVID, those obviously had to stop. And we've been trying to figure out, how do we get something back? Well, instead of just doing a weekend with 8 or 10 women, Alyssa and Allison and the whole team is coordinating on a weekend for 25 women. I believe the numbers are something like that, but it is in May. And Allison, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, it's May. It's at the coast. It's a beautiful location at Twin Rocks Conference Center on May 19th through the 21st. And it we have room for 25 women. There will be, some educational workshops in the beginning on Saturday, and then you'll be able to go explore. They have zip lining, they have archery, they have kayaking, and just that whole
It's like
lots of different opportunities.
it's
It's like
summer
a
camp for
big camp.
grown-ups. Yeah.
Right, right. Yes, yes. And so please check that out. Registration hasn't opened yet, but there is information that is going out. So if you're local here to the Portland metro area, we would love to have you join us. There is a cost associated with that. It's $100 for 2 nights, get 5 meals, and a wonderful opportunity to connect with other women. And I did want to mention on Know Your Lemons. We can also do that presentation and education virtually.
Yes.
So if you are not able to meet in person, please give us a call, and we would love to schedule a presentation with you. It can be a service club, it can be like the Rotary, it can be a women's group, a book club. We just want to be proactive and let everyone know that breast health education is important.
Definitely important. And as a nonprofit who does big events, there are opportunities for volunteers. Um, is there any volunteer opportunities right now, or is that mainly around events?
We have several, different opportunities for volunteers. We have our event volunteers, which are toward the last, the second half of the year, starting with July. And then we're also, looking for mentors if we have a peer-to-peer mentoring program. So if you have gone through breast cancer and you want to mentor another woman, please reach out to Alyssa. She's our coordinator for that program. We try to pair up like diagnoses. So if, like for me, I had a lumpectomy with chemo and radiation. So I don't know what the experience is and what it's like to have a mastectomy. So for my mentor match, I would, work better with a woman who has had or is either had or is going through a lumpectomy. And so it's just a great opportunity. You can, set your own time schedule, and you can, talk with a woman weekly, every 2 weeks. It's just building that community and letting the woman know that she has a friend that she can call and talk to.
Which is huge. So for event opportunities, email Liz Brown at breastfriends.org. For the mentor, if you want to be a mentor, or if you're looking for a mentor in our Breast Friends program, Alyssa Bayer at breastfriends.org, and their emails are on the website, so you can find them there. So Allison, if money were no object, what would your wishes for Breast Friends be? So corporate sponsors out there, please listen.
If money was no object, I would love to have a retreat facility for breast friends, a retreat facility at the coast, either at the coast or in the mountains, to be able to provide ongoing opportunities for women to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city, to connect with other women, to decompress and to share, and to be able to, establish some routines to learn more about releasing that fear, how to move on. And so that's my hope is and dream would be to have a retreat center that could be used year round.
So in the interim, if anyone out there has a large home at the coast or the mountains and they Airbnb it, and you're like, you know what, I could donate a weekend to Breast Friends, reach out to Allison, because we will take that opportunity and run with it and make the best of it. So Allison, we are almost out of time. For someone who's newly diagnosed, what would be your first words of wisdom to them?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call Breast Friends or to email Breast Friends. You can email us at mail@breastfriends.org. And we are here. We get it. We've been where you are, and we really want to support you on your journey. So don't be afraid to pick up the call, or to pick up the phone and call, or email us.
And as Allison, the first step is the hardest. And I remember being so nervous before I walked in. And the moment I walked into your office and the welcoming and the hugs, like all my fear just went away because I was with women who understood and they got it. So Allison, thank you for being here today
Thank
on
you.
my last podcast. So appreciated. Listeners, you can find information at breastfriends.org. Follow us on social media, which is Breast Friends or Breast Friends PDX. Our social media coordinator, Liz, does a fabulous job with that. And donate, because we cannot do the amazing work that is done to help women. And so they do not go through cancer alone without your help on our website or by BF Radio 41444 text. So thank you again to Voice America, because even though this is the last new episode, they are going to continue to host all of our past episodes on their website, on the Voice America Health and Wellness channel. Just go to voiceamerica.com, search for Breast Friends Cancer Support Network, and you will find all the episodes there. And they're also still going to be on all of the main podcasting platforms. So again, thank you so much. You can also subscribe to the Breast Friends YouTube channel, where all of the 2022 and forward episodes are there on video, in case you want to watch and see book covers or facial expressions or the amazing Support the Girls sticker. Please go and subscribe to Breast Friends YouTube channel. And there's just so many great episodes there. And overall in the 368. So just literally open up your podcast app and search. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Take a listen. And, once you're done, donate. So I know I can't ask anymore, but we
Right.
live on donations. So it's definitely appreciated. If you want to follow me on my new journey, my new website is werisebyliftingeachother.com, podcast of the same name, which is on the podcast platforms and on socials. Instagram, it's Rise by Lifting Each Other, because someone else had already taken the We Rise part. But look for the colorful phoenix. That is me. And please follow and send me some ideas of organizations or individuals that do good in the world, just because. Breast Friends will continue to be here for education, community, and support. So please, please reach out if you or a loved one is in need. For me, this is not goodbye, but just I'll see you soon. And because you never know when our paths may cross again, always remember, we rise by lifting each other.